Speaking of dumb things,
What?
I've heard someone say this like that made me cringe so much. He's an Asian guy and then he just grew up in the West or whatever. It's complicated identity, right? And then he said like, I don't mind that I don't belong anywhere because if you don't belong anywhere, you belong everywhere.
Honestly,
Are you cringed?
I've probably written that somewhere.
Oh, is that one of your essays? What is one of your essays, right?
It's really...
It's my identity. If you don't belong anywhere, you belong everywhere. I just want to be brave enough to be kind. Live, laugh, love. Dance like nobody's watching.
Like, okay, I get it.
I'm not white enough to be white. I'm not Asian enough to be Asian.
It is really cringe. It
It's
is
very
really
cringe. My
it is
God.
Very cringe.
Have some self-awareness, people.
Yeah.
I think
true.
the only way to know if your thoughts are cringe, I legitimately think this, the only way to know if your thoughts are cringe is to read.
Yeah.
And to read fiction.
Okay.
Because good fiction is just thoughts that everybody has, relatable thoughts expressed in an original way, in an insightful way. It's the same thing with good comedy. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah,
That's what makes people laugh. It's a surprise.
Exactly.
But good fiction achieves the same things, but it doesn't make you laugh. It makes you, view things in a different light as well and think, So I think people need to start reading fiction. If you find yourself cringy, you're not reading enough fiction. Put down the business books. I know as Asian people, we all have a few business books, self-help, practical stuff. Because that's how I was brought up, and I used to read a lot of those business books.
Really?
How to win friends and influence people, rich dad, poor dad. We all read that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And sure, that is helpful, but you need to read some fiction, people. Otherwise, you'll be a cringe person.
I think you're right. Right. But when I hear that quote, I also hear somebody who, grew up as like a second generation diaspora kid. And there's a lot of pain there because of the thing of like not being able to accept your heritage because that's the part of you that was made fun of. And so you have a tough time embracing it because that's the reason you're being made fun of. So you think that that's the enemy.
Yes, that is true. But now they're going to get bullied because they're cringe.
Because they're cringe by Nigel Ng. But
I was in a conversation, it was a group conversation, I was at a party, and then this guy said it. I'm like, I had to hide my disgust. I had to try so hard to not dry heave.
You're so
How
rude.
old are you? How old are you? Oh, early 30s. And this is your thought. You actually sincerely, unironically, you are saying this shit.
I thought you aced therapy and had a lot of compassion for people.
Yes,
Can't you use your compassion here?
That's why I hate my true emotions. That's compassion.
Nigel.
Compassion is understanding where they come from and don't make them feel bad. I understand where they come from. They probably never read a lot of fiction. They probably never read a lot of diasporic fiction. Right? You have to read...
Yeah, that's true.
Diasporic fiction. When I say diasporic fiction, maybe like writers whose moms came from Asia. Then you see how they express themselves. PSA, people, for the Asians who grew up in the West, you might be cringy. You might be cringy. And just because white people like it, white people lap that up sometimes, right? They're like, oh my God, tell me more. And then you're like, okay. Sometimes you feel when you don't belong anywhere, you actually belong everywhere. Oh my God, I've been traveling and that's something I realized too. When I realized that in Thailand too, I don't belong to these Thai people, but I belong everywhere. I'm a global citizen. Oh my God, it's so insightful.
So that's a sign, actually. If white people are lapping that up, it's probably cringe. It's probably cringe. If you're talking about the diaspora experience and you're saying these things and like they're like, oh my God, I love that phrase.
Yes.
It's probably cringe. It's probably cringe because these are the people who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And
That's like nobody's watching.
Exactly. And love Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown.
If you can't handle me at my worst, you can't handle me at my best.
Exactly. So that's a surefire sign. It's probably cringe.
I love that saying so much. I'm going to put it on a tote bag.
But also like, it's like the saying. No. I'm going to tattoo it in.
Yes.
I'm going to tattoo it on my body.
This means so much to me.
If a people who tattoo in like characters from another country, from another language that they don't understand, but they've just like trusted the tattoo artist to tell them what it means, it's probably cringe.
Yes. That's why every Asian needs Asian friends.
Yeah.
I don't care how whitewashed you are. You better get some Asian friends who will call you out on your bullshit. You need friends who will be like, all right, bro, listen, you're being very cringe right now.
Yeah.
So cool it on the cringe. Try not to sound smart Because I think when people try to sound smart, that's when cringe happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I feel like you're calling me out, but you've already called me out.
I already called you out.
Yeah.
All of your cringy social
It is
justice-y
pretty good.
type stuff,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Just all stop being cringe and try to be original for once.
And
you
try
know?
to be original.
You called me out on it one time, actually. I remember a few episodes ago, I'm like, I'm not white enough to be white, I'm not Asian enough to be Asian. And then you're like, what's the problem with that? Sometimes that's the reality. What's the problem with that, Nigel?
Yeah.
And now you're agreeing with me.
No,
What changed? What changed, Evelyn? You realize making fun of cringe people is fun now?
No. Well, first of all, I called you out because you were saying like, I'd rather see tits than that.
I stand by my point, really. I'd rather see things that arouse me than things that cringe me.
Yeah, you were very tired of that specific expression of I'm not British enough to be British. I'm not Chinese enough to be Chinese.
It just shows that you haven't read a lot of books.
But it summarizes the thing is, and you wanted like a different way of expressing that. But I was like, it summarizes the experience very well.
So does live, laugh, love. Yeah, you have to live. You have to laugh. You have to laugh. Yeah, I think you summarize life well. But just because you summarize well doesn't mean it's good.
I feel like that's more of a statement. But then the difference with I realize that just because I don't belong anywhere, I belong everywhere. That's like more of like this is so wise.
It's the same vibe to me. That I say, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. That's kind of so wise too, right? It's the same energy. It's the same.
That's the same energy, but I don't think it. I think it differs from the not Chinese, British enough to be British, not Chinese enough to be Chinese. Okay.
I don't think it differs. And as I'm not even a diasporic person, I'm an immigrant. I'm not even second generation, but I read these books to try to understand people. Great writers, very diasporic fiction, because I want to understand the experience. Mm-hmm. But what I don't want to do is listen to an essay that the essay podcast you wrote that was like Cringe Fest 1000. We're gonna react to that one day. You're gonna. I know it felt very insightful at the time, but I guarantee you, 6 months from now, you'll be like,
white people loved it.
I've hidden my culture and identity for so long because I thought it was shameful, and it's easier said than done to be proud of yourself. But I can't do it.
It's true. It's true.
That's the kind of essays you write if you don't read diasporic fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that being said,
yeah,
it's a good try, I guess. You have to realize you're cringe to move forward from it.